So, for the moment I'm done with my burrow, and I'm done with a tiny garden. This is just the beginning. The goal is to extend this to a sort of expedition outpost. It's not the end game building, however. This is a place to start, to plan expeditions from, to find a good place, a final good place. The final stage of this is to build a colony and to set it up so it's safe and productive, and I am going to set up some sort of wizard's tower or something. We'll see. But for the moment, this is what I have. A tiny garden. I have a hemp farm for plant fibers. I have some food, some narrow selection, but it's wide enough to provide some different tastes and some different types of nourishment. There is no nourishment mod in this pack, so it doesn't matter technically speaking. But I like to construct my places sort of organically. And this is not intended as a word pun on the plants. I like to let a place evolve. So I intentionally start by building something very simple. And in that way, I can get something done. I can actually get a place that I can look at and say, whoa, look, I did this. Yes, that's very good of me. I completed something. And that is very nice. However, I intend to gradually expand this, and as I gradually expand this, I will build around the features of the terrain. I will build around the things I have already built. As I go along, as I progress, I might tear old things down. Some parts, like, for example, paths, or an old well, or an abandoned piece of a farm, like this tiny hemp farm, might remain behind as a sort of echo of the past. And that will add a kind of feeling to the building. For now, this is very simple, but it's good enough. I have some tiny security measures. I decided to add a fence. It's very, very sort of snugly placed around the borders of my living space, where I have settled, where I have had built the parts of my garden and my home. I decided to put this around the house after one morning, opening the door, stepping 2 or 3 steps outside, and suddenly I were ever so gently massaged into hemoglobin jam by a wildling, I think it was called. I think it's part of Ars Novo, possibly. It's a hostile creature I had not seen before. It's completely new to me, and playing on hard level certainly doesn't help. But this one was really, really dangerous. And so I decided to add this as a sort of simple security measure. Of course, it's not safe. It's not 100% invasion safe in any way. If I'm standing around and not minding my back, creeper could sneak up and kaboom. Also, some issues with building a fence visually appealing and functional at the same time. So if I want to build a fence over a sort of step like this, I would have to build it 2 segments high. Each fence is 1.5 block tall, meaning while I could jump up a block like this, I cannot jump over a fence, and this goes for hostiles as well. But if I were to replace this sapling, which hopefully will grow up one day into a tree, that's the intention, if I were to replace it with just one segment of fence, it would sort of poke up above this line of blocks with half a block of height, and that's a slab, and that's not enough to keep anything out. So hostiles would probably be able to sneak up and around it. That's not good. So therefore, I have added saplings at every step like this. When these grow up, they will become impossible. Not impossible to break, I mean, but they will not be possible to just walk through. Of course, spiders can walk over anything, as they do. But spiders are not that dangerous to me. I can deal with spiders. At least these spiders. I've had some fights with them, and I can definitely deal with them on hard level. That's fine. I also added a fence facing towards the pond. Now, hostiles never really spawn on the water as far as I know, and hostiles on the far beach are not going to react to me. They won't see me. Possibly if I stand here and something is standing along this beach, what to call it, this edge, they might see me. But otherwise I wouldn't worry. However, hostiles following me in, like this one, would definitely find its way around the fence and up in the garden, up in the yard. And I think I have troubles with hostiles possibly trampling my crops. I'm not sure what causes it, but it's really, really annoying that after a night, sometimes when I come outside, I find all the plants gone. And I think it's hostiles. I think it's like zombies and stuff that trample the plant, which destroys the plant or uproots it, and also uproots the seed. And I'm not around to see that. I'm inside, doing whatever I'm doing inside, digging a hole possibly or something. And in the morning when I finally come out, the seeds and plants would have despawned. So they're gone. And that, let me tell you, is really annoying when I had found something very rare, something that I've been searching for a long while, and suddenly when I get outside and say, oh yeah, that's the thing I spent hours looking for, and now it's gone. And I had no idea how to find anymore. I'm going inside. I think I hear sounds outside, and I don't need to fight right now. Oh yeah, I've had visitors. I had a plague doctor visiting me, had a chat, and well, he had some things that might be interesting, but not right now. I cannot afford it. I have no emeralds. Oh, hi. Yeah, That sapling is not up yet. Sometimes yeah, that reminds me, yes. Part of how I expand my buildings, how I expand my constructions, is by thinking of, well, living here, what would I need? What would I probably want to have around? And rotten flesh doesn't sound very nice, so I made a kind of stinky things bin. Yeah, I can sell that to the Plague Doctor, by the way. That would get me, I believe I get 1 emerald per contaminated food. So that's the beginning of a sort of wallet purse of our economy. There, it's possible to sell rotten flesh as well. I believe in some of my trial playthroughs found clerics in testificate villages that they would purchase rotten flesh. But I would require a lot more rotten flesh. I think they purchase something like 25 rotten flesh for 1 emerald or something along those lines. So my build style is obviously a matter of what I like to see, how I like to develop things aesthetically as well as functionally. And I try to look at it through how this world, how Minecraft works, how would it be if this was something similar to our reality, if we were living here. And so, of course, everything is a matter of compromise. What do you think? How do you imagine things working if everything was sort of fully functional physics and everything? Another example of this is this little these blinds. So I decided I wanted a sort of window, but also a way to air out my room. Hollows like this tend to turn very moist, and having furnaces inside is definitely going to make it smoky. After adding these blinds as a sort of vent, I later added chimneys. But this came up before these chimneys. So it's a remnant of what was needed in the beginning. Right now it only serves as a kind of window. I don't have glass yet. I will get glass. Actually, I already have glass blocks somewhere there. But I'm not in that sort of technological phase yet. So that was... I keep this sort of kept to the side for the moment. I will probably start adding windows of some kind soon. So everything is constructed around the idea of this place gradually developing. Another part of this development is this bridge, which rests on these ledges. So practically this bridge is probably loose, like the top of a table, and you can just lift this away if you want to. But right now it rests as a way of getting over this place without having to sort of climb up and down or to keep ladders on the side or something like that. Likewise, the place is furnitured thinking along the lines of what is practical. Hollows, barrels like this tend to be cold, at least colder than the outside. This makes them ideal sort of refrigerated areas for storing food that is sensitive to heat. But also it makes it not so suitable for storing human bodies. At least if you want them to stay alive. And I would like to stay alive. I don't want to die in, what's it called? Pneumonia? So I have, I decided to place my bed alongside of my dedicated food oven. These two are separated functions. This is a low heat place. I use it to boil or fry food, while this is dedicated to high heat operations, high heat tasks like burning clay, burning stones, and making coal. I imagine that burning coal would make these furnaces rather sticky with things like tar and creosote oil. I believe creosote oil is actually part of that sort of grilled taste, but in a greater amount, and so is tar. I believe it's, well, not the grilled taste, but it's used as a sort of way to put taste on some things like candy. It's I think that might be a good, nice thing in very small amounts, but not in the amounts I expect this to generate. So I keep this apart to not make my food completely inedible or possibly poisonous. Likewise, this has more robust construction to be able to take more heat. It has some ember guards to make sure embers doesn't spit out all over the place, and to create a fire hazard. That's also why the floor is stone. I could have made this area out of wood, but I had so much diorite and I like the look of it, so I decided to make all the floor diorite, and it will gradually expand out. But the diorite is dedicated for a very polished, very aesthetic look. Aesthetic look has nothing to do in purely work areas, purely sort of dirty work areas. So those areas are not sort of dressed in polished diorite. I'm using stone bricks for those. So same like this. Also for the fun of sort of practical aesthetics, I make sure no source of fire is close to coal. This place turned out to be something of a coal mine. The bitumen ore is part of, well, as you see, mapper base. Mapper base is a base for EmbellishCraft. So the bitumen ore is not part of Direwolf 20 pack, but there is so much coal around here. So I've been burning a lot of wood making charcoal, but I'm not sure it's actually needed. I have not had that much metal to melt so far, and that's really what I'm using the charcoal for. So I'm probably going to either leave most of the sort of stone coal or bitumen ore right where it is, or I am going to bring it as some sort of starting point for a bigger colony later on. Right now, I mean, the charcoal is not a limited resource. I can grow more trees. This is a limited resource, and bitumen ore functions to slightly extend the efficiency of normal coals, so sort of rock coal, stone coal. So it's a limited resource, and it's very useful if you really need that extra heat, extra time. So I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to stick to using charcoal. I've spent some time considering air inside. This is not by any means a very well ventilated place, but it's good enough for the moment. But as I expand this place, you will see windows appear, and there might be some sort of skylight windows and stuff. I'm not completely explore the possibilities of McCaw's windows. So you see, McCaw's roofs has some skylights, and that's very nice. That's very nice. So I'm looking to use those, and those can sort of serve as a sort of roof hatch to improve ventilation. All sorts of fun details here, but I have yet to explore all this. I'm going to make some use of it, though. I like McCaw's roofs. I've had issues with placing these, not the jungle planks specifically, but the lower roofs. They didn't want to place at every place. I'm not sure. I think they can only be placed if there is nothing behind them. There has to be an empty space, and I don't know if this is intentional or if this is a bug, but I found that a problem. I had to keep an empty space behind the roof in order to be able to place it down. And also when you place it down, they cannot be rotated like some blocks. There is actually a tool for roofs there, roofing hammer. Right click on a roof to change state, but rotation is not a state according to this. So it's made for affecting, I believe, some of these windows and stuff that can have different visual states. But I had no luck rotating the lower roofs using it. I don't know if I'm missing something. If I find out, I will tell you. But for now, no. So the lower roofs were a bit tricky to place. I will probably use more of the sort of standard slanted roofs. They didn't seem to have any problem with having blocks placed behind, which means you can place the roof against the block. You can see this outside. If I move... Oh, zombies. Fun. So here you can see I place the roof against this cupboard. Go away, I'm talking to the audience. I don't have time to talk to you. Ah! Annoying! I'll be right back. Come on! Come on! There. Yeah, please grow faster, okay? I need you. More visitors, but he seems to have some sort of navigation issue. Ah, there. Found his way inside. There, and gone. So, I like his fire. It's a very primitive fireplace, and its look is part of the sort of constantly and gradually evolving look of everything. So it's kind of a kitchen table for barbecue, for frying things outside. It's probably somewhat obsolete in that I now have an oven, but certain things are much more suitable for making in an oven than like flatbreads and such things. Oh, tongue, please. While a barbecue place keeps on being useful for a lot of things even after having an oven. But this is what this table is for. And also, while waiting for the food, there's a place to sit. Just like while working in the garden, digging around and cleaning out weed and stuff, I have a place to sit. Nice to rest your legs and arms. And it's a fairly nice view. I mean, it's pity I had to put up the fence, but, well, you have to put up with it, I guess. Yeah. So, that's what's going on. And also you have a tiny bird bath. Well, if you recognize it, you know there's more to come, but for now, it's actually just a bird bath, because I like birds. There are no birds in this mod pack, I believe. Oh well. Might add something in the future. But for now, it's there as a thought. It's there as if we have birds. And I have intentionally put it a bit away from fire, in part because I don't think the birds would like to come near the fire, and in part because I don't want the birds coming near the fire. So there are thoughts to the details. And that's it for now. What's next step? Well, I want to expand this into more of a home, a place that is not not constantly cold and moist inside, sort of dew and mildew on the floor and walls. Everything sort of constantly slightly at risk of rotting, especially wood stuff, but really the cloth in the bed is not going to fare very well inside a stony burrow. So I want a roof, I want more space, I want the place to be prettier. I will probably move these furnaces outside, because while they provide some heat inside here, and heat is really important if you consider this a real place. The heat helps to keep moist out of everything that needs to be dry, and that means it's easier to avoid being sick as well. So, but I don't want a forge inside. You know, that's going to be smelly and dirty and not very nice for the lungs and everything. So I want to move that outside, and I want a sort of workstation, a forge, a workshop of some kind. Perhaps something for carpentry, perhaps something for smithing, perhaps something for masonry. You know, to show what's going on here. Also, I'm going to start looking into the other mods. Create and Botania coming first, I believe. Create is a bit of sort of barrier, because I need create to break down create's copper ore. Create's copper ore won't melt in the furnaces, and so I need to have the crushing wheels. And crushing wheels? No. Crushing wheels. These. These are fairly inexpensive to create, but they seem to require a lot of power, and I suspect I will not be able to power them by hand. I seem to recall from Direwolf's presentation that it's actually possible to power things by hand, but kinetic stress impact high? I doubt I will be going to power this by hand. Possibly if I manage to make a great gearbox. I'm not really that level of engineer, but I can learn. I can learn. But I don't know if it's actually enough. So I may need to build some sort of windmill. I don't have a natural stream, some sort of river near, so it won't be a water wheel. But I might, I think I could reasonably build a windmill to provide some wind power for the wheels. And these wheels are then used to crush stuff, and that's great. I can get a lot of extra stuff from this, and like I said, for Create's own ore, this is necessary. So to show you, can we see Create ore? Create copper. No, I can't. So I think when I will have to look at that. But anyway, that's the situation. That's the state of things. And I want to expand the garden somewhat. This is nice. I don't want creepers to be able to move inside. Also, you may remember from the beginning of Direwolf's playthrough that he went down to a chasm. I haven't, because I didn't go for that. I went for a garden at first. And I'm probably going to continue that for now. But I will need more metals for various things. And I have to do some calculations to figure out what I need for example, Botania and for Create, in order to be able to take advantage of Create ore. But it's fun stuff too. I want to explore it. Create is new for me. So, until next time, bye.